Good afternoon. I'm Dara Bunjan. I am the food enthusiast here at J More Living. I'm a food writer, food stylist, PR maven, and a frustrated baker. Those of you joining us live, drop your comments and questions for my guest or myself into the comment box, and you'll see me turn my head to check another screen and address whatever questions and comments you have. Very excited about today's guest. Today's guest is Diane Morrisey, Instagram cooking phenom with, listen to this, 1.4 million followers. I can't get past 2,800. She is in rock star status with that number. She's a freelance recipe developer, food stylist, content creator, food photographer, and on Tuesday, March 25th, her first cookbook will launch. The book is You Got This, Recipes Anyone Can Make and Everyone Will Love. You'll see I have some tags there in case I want to get to a couple things. She is a mother of 6. She is known for her acute sense of humor and her easy and innovative recipes. A former caterer, Diane was also an executive at Whole Foods, where she oversaw the prepared foods business and operations for stores in New York City and Connecticut. She knows what people want to eat. Let's welcome Diane.
What an introduction that was.
Was that a good one? Did I get a gold star for that one?
Oh, I got to meet that person.
Just trying to get the screen up to date here so I can watch her comments. What's on your plate today other than doing the show?
What is on my plate today? Well, I have a lot of work that I have to do today. I actually have to go and sign a few hundred books at an event that I'm going to be doing next Tuesday. So those have to be signed today. So I will be doing that. And then it's 1:00. So then I got to start thinking about dinner, Dara.
Yeah, well, if you're anything like me, I'm thinking about dinner the day before. So
yes, we share that. We have that in common.
Right. If you have a good cupboard, a good pantry, you can whip things up. And you talk about it in the book, about the pantry.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important. I got a lot of, you talk about 1.4 million followers, but I got a lot of my followers during COVID when people were home cooking out of their pantry. And I was just opening it up and seeing what I had and putting it together. So I'm a huge proponent of cooking out of your pantry, your freezer, and your fridge. So yes, I talk about it in the book.
Yes, you do. In the pantry, in going through the book, everybody, I'm reading it and making notes and things that I want to ask Diane because I'm just so impressed with what she does on the Instagram account, how the video tells you just enough to get you in there, but gives you a good clue of how the recipe should be, just so much. All right, so I'm making notes on the book and I'm reading through the pantry. And while I'm reading that, in the middle of all my notes is a shopping list of everything I need to get that I don't have, the artichoke hearts, some this, some that.
Yeah.
So we got that up. I usually come back to talking about the family table, which was important in my family. I know was important in yours. So let me just throw the door open and saying, tell me about the family table growing up, your family table. The platform is yours.
Yeah. I mean, it was my first introduction to food was through my mom. And, my father's parents immigrated from Italy. Mom's parents immigrated from Ireland. That grandma, God bless her, didn't cook. So I learned everything from my Italian grandmother who lived with us and my mom, who was taught all of my father's favorite dishes. She had to learn them. And so we had, my dad was a Catholic high school basketball coach and teacher. So he raised a family of 8. I'm one of 6 on a shoestring budget. And my mom, she was a magician in the kitchen. And, every night I talk about it in my book, we had a salad with dinner. And even if the salad was a can of black olives and iceberg lettuce, there was a salad every night. We sat down and had dinner together. And it was, she created memories that were so meaningful to me that I sort of wanted to replicate it with my own family. But Sundays were about Sunday sauce. There was a meal every night, and we sat down, and food was everything. It was at the epicenter of every single thing in my house.
Well, your mother was one of six. You're
She
one of
Yeah.
you're one of six, and you have six children.
Yeah.
And in the book or the press release, you talk about the the great big oak. Was it an oak table?
It was
Was
a
there?
huge oak table with a church pew on one of the sides of it. We had a big my uncle he renovated churches. So one side of the huge oak table had a huge church pew, and the other one, had chairs, but that was our table, and we did everything at that table,
You
from
know
folding
those
clothes to eating and preparing meals.
right. Well, I remember, and I guess things have changed. I had no children, but it was important for my parents in raising us that we sat at the table. There were no interruptions, and you talked about your day. And as an 8-year-old, what are you going to say? But you talk about your day. You feel that love. You feel the unity and the support of family when it comes to sitting at the table and sharing a meal. And
Oh, it
food,
just it's a beautiful memory. Even like from setting the table to clearing the table, it was an event every night. And seems so innocent, but now thinking back, it was like an event every night. Oh, to have a night home around that table right now with my family, I'd give anything.
where are the kids dispersed, or how are they all still in Connecticut? Your
Yeah,
six children?
Dara, I still have three and a half living at home. The half is away at college. He'll be home soon, but I still have three at home. And then I have two daughters in New York City, and one daughter lives a few towns away.
But close enough that she can bring the laundry.
Close enough. And in fact, my daughter Frances is coming home later uh, with two friends that are homesick, and she's bringing them home for dinner. I just found that out about an hour ago. So I got to open that pantry up and see what I am having for them.
Right. Well, my freezer, I'm in an apartment, so when it gets to a point that I'm opening the door and going like this, it's time to empty it out. Um, I did a video ages ago when they had the little flip phones, and I was at a women's chef and restaurateurs conference, and I went around and asked everybody why food. And it became a very popular YouTube. I mean, chefs that you know, chefs that you didn't know.
Love that.
Let me ask you, why food?
Why food? I mean, first of all, in college, I was an art major. I was a graphic design major, and I graduated college. I got married, and I had a baby within 9 months. So, and then I just had a baby every year and a half until I had six. So I was always been a frustrated artist, and I never really used my art degree. So when I got married, I didn't really know how to cook, Dara. I sort of did, but not really. And
Okay.
my creativity came out in my food. It just was beautiful to me. It was an art form. I think food is beautiful, and I loved everything about being creative with food. And it always has been, that creativity for me.
The the Instagram is Diane Morrisey. Just how you might, it's a Diane with one N because you can spell Diane a million ways nowadays. Diane Morrisey, Morrisey. Facebook, it's Diane.Morrisey. You have to go look. If you're not one of the 1.4 million, let's
Mhm.
take her to 1.5 million. She is absolutely amazing. Melinda here says, I can't wait to get the book.
Oh, thank you, Melinda. Can't wait for you to get it soon. Soon.
Uh, Soon. Yeah. I mean, It's really amazing. The Instagram, I have a habit that if a guest has an Instagram account, and it's a lot of what they do, I try to go back to the first Instagram post. So
Oh,
last
interesting.
so last night I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling
Too
and I'm
many.
scrolling.
Fall
I got
asleep.
down I got down to around 22,000. In the meantime, I'm getting so hungry. Um, I noticed you had somebody hacked your account. Was it around 22,000?
25,000. That was in 2019, I think. And somebody, and I will tell you, Instagram started, it was a happy accident. I didn't plan. I got on Instagram to spy on my children. That's literally why I was, no doubt about it. And it was a family account. I watched my kids, I watched what they were doing, I looked up their friends. Like, that's what I did. I'm honest about it. And one day, just out of the blue, I made a birthday cake for my daughter, Frances. And I said, you know what? Let me post it. And I did. And my kids are like, Mom, that got a lot of likes. And I was like, what's a like? I had I didn't have any idea. They're like, Mom, oh my God, Mom, that's got a lot of likes. So I said, oh, that's interesting. They kind of explained it to me. And I said, well, let me post something else. So, like, the next day, I posted something else. The same thing happened, Dara. And then slowly, it wasn't a food account, but I was getting all these followers organically, and it was bizarre. So I was like, okay, I was still commuting into New York City. But I started posting food, and then it sort of grew to that number that you just said, 25,000. And then it just went away. It got hacked one day. We were at a wedding in Jersey and it got hacked, and no one would help me. And I was like, I'm done, because I was mad. I was aggravated. And I said, I'm done. And my kids go, you can't be done, Mom. You love doing that. And they were right. I did. And like, that, what will that show them? That I'm just giving up? So I had no heart, but I go, okay, I'll start up again to be a good example to my children. And I did, and that's when it took off. Really took off.
Well, first of all, you know, I take pictures of my food. I use my phone. You have a good camera. You have a setup. It looks beautiful. Um, you, most of your shots are overhead. Am I correct?
Yeah.
You notice I can't talk
I
unless
do
my
use this.
hands.
That's all I use is my phone.
Really?
That's all I use. So all those videos is simply done with this thing. That's it. Yeah. And it's funny, there are a lot of different styles of doing videos, but I used to, in one of my past lives there, I was also a teacher, and I taught all of my children. I was an art teacher. And so I know how to teach, and I know how to teach people without using lofty terms that are going to confuse people. And
Right.
so I those videos are done very specifically so that people could get a visual. I'm a visual person. You can tell me how to do something. It will mean nothing to me unless I see it.
See it.
That's how I sort of make those videos, to sort of give people that visual.
You make it the way you would like to see it.
Yes,
It's,
absolutely.
right, right.
Absolutely. I never thought
Um,
of it. You're right, but you're absolutely right.
um, it's, in my past life, I did PR. So when I have a guest on, hopefully I'm hitting those points that I
Yeah.
know a PR agent would like to hit, but I want to give a personal look to my guests, how they got to where they're going and what they're doing. Um, so much here. What would you say your style of cooking is?
Um, Casual, non-intimidating. I've since I've been a mom, I think every single night is an episode of Chopped in my house. You know,
Okay.
I would do really good on that show, because I'm so used to opening up my pantry, opening up my fridge, seeing what I have and figuring out what to do with it. And that also comes from the mentality in my mind of cooking on a budget, which I always have, and not letting anything go to waste. What are you running long on, right? That's a retail term. See what I'm running long on and figuring out, okay, that's what we're eating. What am I doing with that chicken, those thighs? So it's a practical cook. It's a cook that thinks with a budget. and a really casual approach.
Yes, I see some nostalgia in it
Uh,
too.
Without a doubt. And if I could say something, I grew up with cooking influences. I said that my mom and my grandmother, who lived with us, obviously. But
Right.
I realized when I started doing social media that so many people didn't have that. And that was like an aha moment for me. I'm like, I
Yeah.
just took it for granted that I just watched these two amazing cooks every day, all day cook, but so many people didn't. And so they're really looking to, somebody to sort of help them create memories for their own families and newly married, new, kids just graduated college. So I have a very young demographic, believe it or not, because of that. But so much of my food is nostalgic, Dara.
Yeah. The I want to, from everything I gather, it's been 30 plus years that you're vegetarian. You're more pescatarian,
I
or
am
are you?
pescatarian. Yep. I haven't eaten meat or chicken in 31 years, but I do love seafood.
So do I.
Yeah.
Connecticut, here,
Yeah.
Maryland,
Yes.
just yep. People have heard this in my will. When I pass away at my memorial, they're to serve lobster.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, why not crab? Crab? Crab.
Well, I like crab, but I love lobster. I have a hair here.
Mm.
It's invisible hair. It's driving me crazy. Okay, so let's get back to um,
They might serve that at my
Ian's.
funeral also.
Okay, I'll make a date.
Okay, absolutely.
um, I put down in my notes about me scrolling through all your things, and I wrote I wasn't scrolling, I was drooling instead of scrolling.
Well, I do hear that people will say, I mean, I get thousands of messages a day. And I think part of my success also is that I try really hard to connect with my followers. So I really do spend a tremendous amount of time responding to these messages. And so many of them will say that, I wake up in the morning, I don't know what the hell I'm cooking for dinner, and I open up your feed and I scroll and then I see it. So I love that I can be that for somebody, because we all need that inspiration, all of us, even me.
Right. It's what you have. One of the funny things that I found on the scroll, I'm telling you, I went a deep dive.
Oh, geez.
Okay.
I'm afraid.
You're afraid. You put a post up, things you should know about me.
Uh-huh. Yeah. 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 I like that post.
Yeah. So you hate beets,
Herbal.
truffles,
Oh,
kale, and cheesecake. Who hates cheesecake? Everybody loves
no.
cheesecake.
In fact, about 2 weeks ago, I put up the cutest little mini cheesecakes that I make in a jumbo muffin tin. And I grew up with them because they were my brother Tommy's favorites. And my mother always made them for my brother Tom, nostalgic. And I've never eaten one of them. Maybe when I was young, I did. But my kids are like, Mom, how are you not eating that? Because I have a sweet tooth. I go, I cannot stand cheesecake. I don't know what it is. I just don't like it. Nor
Do you eat
truffles.
cream? Do you eat cream cheese?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do. If I eat cream cheese, if I have chocolate in it, I think. I won't eat it if it's just plain.
Not on a bagel.
Oh God, no. Oh no, no, I'm not a big cream cheese fan on a bagel. No.
Okay, so it's probably a textural
Might be.
flavor thing.
Yeah, I don't think it has any taste.
um, I like this. Clowns scare you. I never knew why. I know I was never scared, but so many people are scared of clowns.
Swear to God, this happened yesterday. I made dinner. My husband went into the living room because now that the kids aren't all home, we will eat in front of the TV. I know my parents would have a heart attack. So, swear to God, this happened last night, Dara. I walked in. Usually, my husband had put something on until I get there, and then we decide what we're going to watch together. And I'm like, what the hell show? I was looking, and I'm like, this is awful. He better turn it soon. And he said, it's your favorite show. And I said, what? And he goes, It Too. It was Stephen King, It.
It's the
And it was
clown.
one. And I said to him, I hated it the first time. I'm going to hate it even more the second time. Please change it. They terrify me. They do. They terrify me. Like Raggedy Ann dolls, those too,
Yeah?
terrifying.
No, you gotta add that to your list. I
I
didn't have that
actually
down here.
I'm writing it down as we speak. Raggedy Ann dolls, awful.
Right.
It's funny.
Um, I'm just looking over things. I'm food curious. You see a new recipe. When I say I'm food curious, if I'm entertaining, I'll try a new recipe out on a guest. I want to test it first. What about you?
No, I don't feel a need to test recipes. You kind of when you've been cooking for a long time, I think you get a very good feel for a recipe. I very rarely follow recipes. I use them as a starting point and then sort of usually put my own spin on it, to be honest with
Okay.
you. So, I have no problem saying, "Ooh, that looks good. I love that. I'm going to cook that on Saturday night," and I'll just do it for the first time Saturday night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just one cook to another. And some people said, oh, you didn't test it. And I think if you cook enough, you can look at a recipe and see that it doesn't make sense. It just
Well,
doesn't jive.
that's why we were attracted to that recipe to begin with. That's why we want to make it for our friends on Saturday night at the dinner party, because we have a sense that it's going to be really terrific.
Right.
Otherwise, we'd leave it on the cutting room floor.
I want to bring up the book. You know, we listed all these different titles that you had. You're now officially a cookbook author of You've Got This Recipes Anyone Can Make and Everyone Will Love 100 Delicious Pantry Staple Meals. So that pantry is very important. So I'm going to pull it back. And the book is more or less based or broken down into moods as
Yeah,
opposed to categories. So breakfast is my jam.
I could eat
Almost,
breakfast. I could eat breakfast all day long.
yeah,
It really is my jam.
almost dinner.
Yep, because that concept, I spoke about it with my publisher so often. That is how I used to feed my kids. I just put platters of things out for them. They were all small, and I just remember putting platters of things out for them, and picky things and dips and little, it was just always an assortment of things, and that's sort of how I always cooked for my family. And that's where that whole idea came from for that chapter.
Yeah. Dinner time. Vegetables, big and small. Bowls and salads. Soups and Sammys. Dessert, of course. And of course, you have that root beer chocolate cake.
Oh, it's good.
And yet you say, when baked through, it doesn't taste like root beer, but it just enhances the flavors that are in there.
Yeah, you cannot taste root beer one bit. And I mean, right? I think there's a cola cake, same thing, Ina Garden, that chocolate cake that she makes, that's fabulous. Beatty's chocolate cake has a cup of hot coffee in it, but you don't taste the coffee. It just wakes that chocolate up.
Right.
Yeah.
The book, couple things that I found in here that I liked. Tips on store-bought pizza dough. Now, I'm one of those people that bought it home, and fought with it. It kept curling up. And your suggestion when you're getting the pizza dough, keep losing the earphone.
Let it sit out. I'm not even kidding you. It's okay. You got it? I am making a corned beef pizza tonight. And it's a wonderful pizza that a good friend of ours has, a terrific pizza place here in Connecticut, and they do it every St. Patrick's Day, and it was my mom's favorite. So
Right.
I have the dough sitting on the counter right now, and that's what's going to be for dinner. It's for somebody later on. I got to do a video.
And you also said you can, put it in the microwave oven, don't turn it on, but open the door slightly so the light's on, and that'll bring it up to room temp in case your kitchen's a little cold.
It will,
Uh,
and it's all about letting it rest. So it curled up, and got it retracted when you did it, maybe because it wasn't at room temperature yet, so it was still cold and fighting itself. But if you sort of
right.
let it relax and think about it and put it out, it'll be perfect.
You know, there were a lot of, um, how do I put it, comments. I don't know what they say. Um, Gwyneth Paltrow did an intro to your book, or it's really towards the back, but she follows you.
She's a big
She
fan of mine. She messages me often for years.
and
But
she loves your freckled face. I like that.
no, Dara, my freckled hands.
Oh, the freckled hands.
Yes,
Okay.
and it's funny, if because the way you see my videos, I use my hands. It's called hands and pans. That's the style. People see my hands and recognize my hands. And for years, I hated my hands because they're working hands, and they are my mom's hands. Now I'm so proud of them because they are my mom's hands. But when Gwyneth said that, she told me that before, that she loves my hands, and I go, Gwyneth, I can't believe you just said that because it's a bone of contention with me. She goes, oh my goodness, no, Diane, your hands are beautiful. And I don't think I'll ever look at them the same way again.
It brings warmth to her. There's something homey about your hands. Um, and a lot of other cookbook authors have written you fabulous comments.
Yeah.
And and through your post on Instagram, you have been you'll see a recipe that somebody else does, and you'll put it up and and give them a link so people could follow them. I mean,
Oh,
it's the food community is a wonderful one. Folks, some of the recipes, let's see if we can get this in here. Sheet pan lasagna,
yeah.
woo, whole lot easier um, than
Then
doing that 9 by 13.
yeah.
And red shrimp curry soup.
I started making that when one of our daughters lived in Thailand for a few years, and I started making a lot of Thai food to kind of feel closer to her when she was away. That's where that soup was born from.
What was she doing in Thailand?
She was a teacher. She was an
Oh,
English teacher.
okay.
And
Just
that was,
curious.
yeah, she was a teacher. She taught at an international school. She was going for 6 months and ended up staying several years. And COVID brought her home because Bangkok started shutting down. And I was sort of grateful about that. Um,
You're
so
lucky to get her home.
I was lucky to get her out. It was very hard to get her out, but thank God she got out. And now she teaches here in Connecticut.
My salt, sweet craving. God love you. Here we go.
I mean, it's so simple and so silly, but
People, potato chips and chocolate.
if you put a bowl of those out, Dara, for your guests, it's people are gonna go crazy over them. And it's so simple, but you got to make them.
I'm going to make them, but you think I'm going to give them my guess? I'll make them. I'll sit there. I'll keep eating them.
Right.
This is an insatiable appetite that continues and continues on. This is what I know how to talk about.
I know. I know.
And, you know, if you live close by, I'd be hanging with you, girl. I'd be hanging.
Yeah, I will say about I think my appeal also to many people is that there is nothing about me that's perfect. Nothing. And so many pages are perfect. So many feeds on Instagram are perfect. I am so not that. So I think people respond
Relate.
to that and relate to it because my house is not perfect, my kids aren't perfect, and my hands aren't perfect. And people relate to it.
They do. They do. And I can't wait to see your thing go to 1.5. Everybody, just to remind you, Diane Morrisey is our guest today. Facebook, Diane with one N dot Morrisey, Morrisey, and Instagram, just Diane Morrisey.
Yeah.
And her book officially launches on the 25th of
Yeah.
this month.
5 more days.
And you have a big launch going on in Connecticut, am I correct?
I do, yeah. I'll be in New York City on the morning of the 25th. I'll be on the Today Show.
Fabulous.
Yeah, with Al Roker and Craig and Dylan, and I will be making a couple of recipes from the book, and that is Tuesday morning, the morning of Pub Day, and then I have a couple of other media things that day, and then that night is the book launch party in Connecticut.
Yoo-hoo.
So it's exciting.
It is. It is.
Kids are thrilled.
I keep losing things here. All right. I know you have a lot to do, and we can probably sit and shoot the food breeze very easily. I have questions I ask at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't sell yourself short. Probably drink a little bit less and listen to mom and dad. Oh, God bless my parents. Listen to mom and dad.
I posted on my Facebook page. It's not verbatim, but it's basically, do you ever think back about the times that you snuck out around, your parents didn't know what you were doing and you were doing things that were probably not too safe? And aren't you glad you didn't end up in a shallow grave? And I went looking for Mr. Goodbar.
Yeah.
Just we all in our youth did some crazy stuff, that's for
Ooh, some
sure.
crazy stuff that I'll never ever admit to any of my children. Yeah, but quite frankly, I lived through a lot of it again with them. So
Right. Enough. What two things are a must in your refrigerator?
God, I'm a condiment queen. I love condiments. And I'm a mustard fiend. So at any given time, I have several different types of mustard. I love salsa too. But I have to say, I think plain yogurt is going to be one of them because I use it to bake with and I use it to cook with and I marinate and I make dips with, and it's perfect. Yeah, and then maybe an ice cold bottle of Chardonnay also is in my fridge at all times.
Okay. I know in your list somewhere you like to drink wine.
I'm a wine drinker. I am. Yes, I do love it.
Okay. If you can wake up tomorrow morning with a new talent, what would the new talent be?
I never learned how to play an instrument, so I'd give my right arm to play the piano. Oh, I have self-diagnosed ADHD, so I don't even think that I'd have the mindset to actually learn at this point, but I would love to learn how to play the piano. And I'd love to learn how to speak fluent Italian. That's all my grandparents spoke, and that's all my father spoke to them. And we picked up a little bit of it when we were younger, but boy, I'd love to learn how to speak fluently.
What's the best bite you've had all week?
Oh, that's easy. I make my grandmother Murphy's Irish soda bread. I kind of make it all year. I don't just keep it for St. Patrick's Day because it's so good. And sliced and toasted with Kerrygold butter. Hands down, the best thing I had all week.
That's really letting the Irish side of your family come out.
Do you like Irish soda bread?
I made it once. I guess I'm not making, because it's just me right now, I'm not making bread.
Good. Yep.
So I did make a challah. It was in Beth Lee. I can't think of her last name's recipe. It was an olive oil. It was a great challah with raisins and citrus. It was very good. That's about as much bread as I make.
I got it.
It's
Well,
a challenge.
I
It's
still
a,
make it. My father passed about a year ago. I used to make it for him all the time. My mom is 93 and has dementia and doesn't remember the Irish soda bread, so I still bring it over to try to get her
juggernaut.
brain working. Yeah. So I make it quite often, and I love it. That was the best thing I ate all week.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm sorry about your loss. It's very hard with senior parents.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes,
but
it is.
it was a close knit. If your grandmother lived with you, the Italian one,
And you
you
know
know,
what? And you talk about nostalgia and food, and I was the only one out of all my siblings that really learned my grandmother's recipes. And
really,
yeah, because I'm really yeah, I am. And nothing brought me more joy than to bring over a platter or something to my dad, who lived the next town over. And he would light up when I brought one of grandma's recipes over. Even yesterday was the Feast of St. Joseph, and in honor of him, I went to the favorite pastry shop and I bought a tray of cannolis. I would have brought them over to him, and because I just loved sharing the memories of his mother's food with him. I miss that.
it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Um, we've talked about your cookbook, which is You've Got This.
And you know what that title is about?
Tell me.
It's just encouragement. My dad was a coach. I was a coach. I played sports all my life, and I was a teacher, so I was always a motivator. And it was just a phrase that I grew up with. You got this. You got this. And I found that I was saying it to my followers 1,000 times a day. They'd message me or they'd send me a DM about being so nervous. My mother-in-law is coming over. I'm making this. And I always ended it with, you got this. It was just a form of encouragement. And it just made sense to me that that's what the title should be. Just one big and you got this.
That's a great story behind that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else I didn't ask you that I should have?
No, I don't think so. I will say that, one of my biggest mantras that I try to convey every day is that cooking is, I swear, 90% confidence and 10% being able to read a recipe. And for somebody, and if I taught myself to cook, you could too. And I just want people to know the more time you get in the kitchen, the more comfortable you're going to become. And then the more comfortable you are, cooking becomes fun and not so much a chore. So just get in the kitchen and try.
Yes, coach.
Yeah, that's
Yes, coach.
exactly right. Exactly. That's
Yes,
part of
coach.
my DNA, coaching.
Diane, what a joy. Continued success.
Thank you.
I'm thrilled to have finally met you, and we'll see what the future brings. I know we sort of talked about things that are on the QT, but when it's time, let me know.
You got it, Sarah. It was a
Uh,
pleasure. And anytime I have the opportunity to talk about food and feeding people and the idea that food is love and food being a love letter to those you love is something that I just love to do. So thank you for giving me that opportunity.
my pleasure. All the best. And I just have a couple of announcements. And come on, March 25th.
That's right. 5 more days.
Okay, everyone, feel free to reach out to me via my email, which is food@jmoreliving.com, or at Dara Cooks is my Instagram, or you can find the Food Enthusiast on Facebook. I have a page there. Next week's guest will be Joel Haber, who researches, writes podcasts, and lectures about about the history of Jewish food, using it in a way celebrating Jewish culture and history. He blogs on his website, The Taste of Jewish Culture, which is tasteofjew.com. He has written numerous articles for a variety of publications, and also has been interviewed by many different media outlets. He also created a recent podcast called Jewish Foods, and where he talked about the 18 Jewish foods. That podcast is available on all major podcast platforms. You can go to jmoreliving.com and sign up for their Tuesday food e-newsletter with recipes, a video of this show, food news that's going on in Baltimore. So you can sign up for that, jmoreliving.com. Go up to the menu where it says connect and fill out the form, and they'll email it to you on Tuesday. All shows are immediately archived in video form on Jamor Living's Facebook page and jmoreliving.com and YouTube. We truly appreciate when you share our show with friends and family. Feel free to go back into our archives and enjoy past shows. May your plates always remain full. I look forward to seeing you next Thursday.